So good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible. Please confirm this. Good morning, Chetak. So guys, please confirm the voice is audible. Okay, good morning, Rufustin, Lone Wolf. Okay, all is fine. Thank you so much. So today we'll start our second chapter, that is agronomy and field crops. Now, before starting this chapter, students, I would like to know that have you completed your yesterday's assignment? Okay, I have given you a homework that you have to cover the summary sheet of chapter 1 and questions of chapter 1. So just give me thumbs up if you have done that. Okay, so that we all guys can be on track, and with these classes you can cover all the lectures of ARD, and after that you have to just revise, right? Please give me thumbs up if anybody has done that. Okay. Okay, very good. So I can see only one thumbs up. Okay. See, guys, let me tell you here one thing also, that please right now take advantage of these live classes. Please don't take them lightly. Okay. You are starting at very right time, far ahead of your examination. So you will be having at the end a lot time for revision, for giving your mocks. So it's a humble request from all of you that if you want to make best out of these classes, please do revise from the summary sheet and do practice questions. Okay. So that's a request. Again, I'm doing uh, to all of you that please, just after the classes, if you have already also read the summary sheet or concept notes of these chapter, again do revise them, just for the sake that I'm saying. Okay, and also that it will be a good revision for you, right? So with that, I'll start our next chapter, that is agronomy and field crops. So students, yesterday, Sahil, regarding your query, see, usually we start our live classes after notification. Okay. But see, students, what happens after notification? There is a limited amount of time that we have, and we have to cover so vast subject. So these live classes are just for you so that you can prepare it well. We can also cover it comprehensively. Okay. Dheere dheere, we can, cover all the topics, and it is a live interaction session for you also. If you have any query, any doubt, you can ask us on that very point, right? So this is the purpose of this live classes. And regarding notification and regarding the examination, I would say I cannot tell exact time when the notification will be out, but yes, understand this thing at the during the first week of September. At the first week of September, you will have your examination of phase 1. Okay, so accordingly you can see, and I would suggest you all to please once again do revise these classes. And to all those who are watching in YouTube session, so I would request them all that these are our demo classes. Okay, if you want to enroll in our classes, you can enroll. Okay, and we are comprehensively covering everything here. Okay, so with that we'll start. We have already covered chapter 1, and now we'll start with chapter 1, and this is the part 1. Okay, we are covering this chapter in two parts. So this is part 1 of agronomy and field crops. Now, before moving ahead, let me just give quickly revise whatever we have read so far in the previous chapter. So, students, basically the most important things that we have read in the previous chapter was what is agriculture, right? We have discussed what is agriculture. Now, in agriculture, we saw that agriculture is not just about crop production, it is also about livestock, it is also about forestry, it is also about fisheries, apart from your crop production. Then we discuss branches of agriculture, right? Then we see then we see different branches of agriculture, which is your agronomy, horticulture, animal husbandry, forestry, then fisheries, home science, agriculture engineering, right? Then we discussed about history of agriculture in India in brief. Also, we discussed about the different National Agriculture Research Institute that we have. Okay, so we discussed all these, and then few facts regarding agriculture revolution and fathers of agriculture. a father of different discipline in agriculture, right? Then few important dates. So these are the things that we have already covered. Now, students, in the branches of agriculture part, we have discussed different branches, and today we are going to cater one of the branch, that is agronomy. So what we have discussed in previous lecture, that what is agronomy? It is the study of field crop plus their management, right? It is the study of field crops plus their management. Now, in this particular chapter, we will be dealing about agronomy, means we will be dealing about different types of field crops. So we will see what are the different types of field crops, what are their classification and all in this particular chapter. Okay. So that is the agenda of this chapter. And in this chapter, we will deal with the agronomy in detail. So first, let me tell you about the origin of this term. So agronomy term has been derived from a Greek word. Okay. It is a Greek word which is agros, which means field. Okay. And nomos means management. So from the origin itself, it is clear that agronomy is field management. Okay. So right now I just said that in agronomy we will study about field crop. Okay. Now, in order to grow these crops, what need to be managed? Field need to be managed. Field is the base where we grow these crop, right? So agronomy is basically the field management. So agronomy, if we say the what is the actual definition of agronomy? It is that branch of agriculture science which deals with principles and practices of crop production and field management. So students, in agronomy, not only we study about field management, but also we study the principle and practices of crop production. Now, what do we mean by principles and practices of crop production, right? Now, students, see, we have different types of crop. We have rice, wheat, sugarcane, barley, we have maize, right? We have some pulse crop, we have some vegetable, sorry, not vegetable in the agronomy, but yeah, we have different types of crop. Commercial crop do we have, right? So, like for say, if I wanted to grow rice, okay, so can I grow rice in any season? Okay, can I grow rice in a region where there is less water, there is less water availability? Okay, so answer will be no. I need to know what are the things that is required, or what are the climatic conditions that are required for growing this rice. What is the optimum soil condition that is required for the rice? What is the optimum amount of water that is required to grow the rice? Okay, so what is this? What the thing I am saying, that we need to know all things about rice. We need to know about the rice, means we need to know like amount of nutrient which will be required to rice. We need to know amount of water. Okay, we need to know what are the tillage practices that will be required in the rice. Okay, climatic condition of rice, soil condition of rice. So what is this? For one particular crop, we are studying all these things. So this is the principle and practice of growing rice. Getting my point? So it is the principle and practices of growing rice. So now we have other crop, wheat. Okay, now wheat, what wheat will have different kind of principle and practices. Means wheat will have different type of climatic requirement. Wheat will have different type of soil requirement. Wheat will have different kind of irrigation requirement than rice. So for each crop we have different principles and practices, and that is studied under agronomy. So in agronomy, we not only understand about field management, but we also understand about the principle and practices of growing each crop. Clear? So I hope now it is clear that what is the meaning of principle and practices. And now we have understood, well understood the definition of agronomy, that it is a one of the branch of agriculture science that is dealing with the principle and practices of and crop production and field management. Clear? I hope I hope it is clear, right? Smruti, see, I have repeated this so many times. If it's still there is confusion, do let me know. I can, repeat once again. So please let me know. Okay. So, and also we have just started. Okay, we have just started. It is the very first slide. that I'm showing you. So we are starting with agronomy and field crop. So I was just saying that agronomy is agriculture science that is dealing with principle and practice of growing crop and field management. Okay. Now, students, one more fact that to need to be remembered here, and we have also discussed that in a previous lecture, that father of agronomy is Pietro di Crescenzi. Okay, you have to learn the name of this person because it is very, very, very important. Okay, so father of agronomy is Pietro di Crescenzi. So I hope it is clear what is agronomy, right? Now, students, when we say we discuss about crop production, we study about principle and practices of crop production. So, what is basically this crop is? What is a crop, right? So, when plant of similar kind are grown over a area for the commercial or subsistence purpose, that is the crop. Okay, so students, we have a field. Okay, and in that field you will see different type of plants be there. Okay, if there's nothing sown, no seed is placed there, so you will see different type of plant are there. These plant cannot be called as crop because we are not cultivating that land for us. Okay, so whenever, in simple language, when a piece of land is brought under cultivation and same kind of plants are grown over that piece of land, and this production, this growing of crop or this growing of plants can be for the commercial purpose or for the subsistence purpose Okay, so this is your what these plants are called crops. Okay, so I hope this is clear. What are crops? Crops are plants of same kinds which are cultivated in one place for commercial or subsistence purpose. So like for say in your kitchen garden also, when you want to grow some vegetable, you will not grow one plant of, like for say cauliflower, right? If you want to grow cauliflower, you will at least plant 10 to 15, 10 to 15, or a small area will be allocated to cauliflower where you are growing it, right? Now, for say you are trying to grow onion, you will not just sow one plant of onion, you will at least make one area dedicated to onion production, right? So this is a crop. Okay, when plant of similar kind is grown over a piece of land for commercial or subsistence purpose, that is called crop, right? I hope it's very, very, very easy to understand. Now, next is, what is the classification of these crop plants? Now, students, there are so many types of crop plants, right? We have discussed it, that there are some crop where which we are using for the consumption purpose. There are some crops which are used for some fiber purpose, like your cotton and jute. There are some crop which are grown on plantation, like your coffee, rubber, which are again used for consumption, but they are usually grown on a very large scale. So crops are of very various kinds, and in order to make the study of crops easier, crops have been divided into different classification. They have been classified on the basis of different category. So first category, if we see the scale on which we are growing crop, means the land area on which we are growing crop. So if we are growing any crop on a very small land area, on a very small land area, like your backyard, like your kitchen garden, so these crops will be called as garden crop. Okay, see, crop can be uh you know these garden crop can be field crop, but again, if that is done in a very small area, then that is called a garden crop. Okay, so in your kitchen garden, in your backyards, you grow garden crops. Next we have is field crops. Now these field crops are grown usually for the commercial purpose, and they are grown on very large scale. They are grown on a hectares of land, right? Like your rice, wheat, cotton, jute, these are grown on a very large scale, so they are called field crops, right? Very easy to understand. Now next we have plantation crop. Now students, apart from your field crop, there are such some crops which are grown on a very large area, means they occupy a very large area, as they are for usually commercial purpose. And these plantation crops are usually perennial in crops. Perennial crops are what? Basically, once we have sown these plantation crops, they need not to be re-sown. We just need to harvest the economical part of that particular plant, and we just don't need to. There's no need of re-sowing it. So what we do, we just once establish this plantation crop, and then, like in case of tea, we just harvest the leaf of the tea. In case of coffee, we just harvest the berry. In case of rubber, we just collect the rubber from the tree, right? So these are called plantation crop. Now, students, I hope it is clear what is the difference between garden crop, field crop, and plantation crop, right? So in case of field crop, we need to resow the seed, right? Like in Kharif season, like in your summer season, you are sowing rice. So rice is a 6 month crop. So after 6 months you will harvest the rice. It will it will reach harvesting stage and you will harvest the rice. After that you need to resow the field. So you will either go for rice or you will either go for any other crop like wheat. Okay, so field crop, we need to resow the same field after and after, a season after season. But in plantation, once you have established the plantation, you just need to remove the economical part, right? I hope this is clear. Now, next, we have another type of classification. We will be studying all these classification one by one. So first is based on the use of plant crop and their produce. So what is the particular use of that particular crop, or what is the use of that particular crop, or what is the use of their product? Based on that, we have a classification. Then season in which we are growing that crop. Then what is the climatic requirement of that particular crop? On that basis also we have a classification. Then what is the ontogeny or life cycle? Based on the life cycle also we have the classification of crops. Then based on mode of pollination also we have a classification. Then what is the nutrient uptake habit of that particular crop? Again we have a classification, scientific and botanical classification we have. Then depth and type of root system, that is also a base of classification. Dioxide fixation and special purpose. Now these are the different bases on which the on which crops have been classified, and we will be understanding them one by one. So students, first, that is based on use of plants and their products. So this is the first classification. Now here we have again different groups. Okay, all the crops have been again kept under different groups. First, yes, Smruti, if you have a rooftop garden, that is again an example of garden crops. Okay. So now, as I was saying that based on the use of plant and their produce, we have again different groups. First, we have is cereal crops, oilseed crops, green manure crops, pulse crop, fiber crop, commercial crop, sugar crop, spices and condiments, and forage crops. So these are different groups in which the crops have been again kept. Now we will understand these groups one by one. Okay, so first is your cereal crops. So students, what are cereal crops? Basically, again, these are the crops where we are consuming the grains. Okay, cereals are basically grains. So where in crop where you are harvesting grains, these are called cereal crops. So cereals are generally, they are basically belonging to the grass family. Okay. If we see what is a family basically, so students, all the plants have been, again classified. Okay. If we see the botanical classification of plants, so they have been classified in different groups. And again, these plants are categorized into different families. Okay, so we have a grass family where all the grasses are grouped. So similarly, we have another family like leguminaceae where all the legumes are grouped. So these are just a scientific family. You can say this is a scientific classification where a family is given to a particular plant. Okay, you means a particular plant is kept under one family, and a group of group of plant belong to that one family. Okay, family is nothing, it is just a classification. So understand this thing. These cereals are basically, these are originally from the grass family, but as these cereal plants have these edible starchy grain, so we are cultivating these cereal plants. Okay, so the thing is here that usually they were from the grass family, but humans found out that these grasses have some edible starchy grains that can be consumed by us. So what we have done, we have taken these grasses to the field and we have started cultivating it. So that's become your cereal crops. So wherever you are just consuming the grains of any grains of any plant, that is a cereal crop, right? So students, all your rice, wheat, maize, barley. These are all part of your cereal crops. Again, in all these cases, what we are doing, we are consuming the grains, right? And these are also the staple food, right? It's rice, wheat. These are a staple food also. So now, students, these cereal crops have been again further classified, because if we see in cereal crops also, we have millets also. Like we have foxtail millet, we have barnyard millet. There are different types of millets. Again, there also we are consuming the grains, but again, based on the likability of these cereals, we have divided into again two groups. First we have is cereals. We can say major cereals and minor cereals. Major cereals are again basically those which are majorly consumed by the population, like your rice, wheat, and they have been given a name cereals. And again, we have a minor cereals, means the cereals which are not much consumed by the people, like your millets. Okay, so we know that millets are not that much popular right now. It is gaining, in the recent trend, people have started consuming millets, but earlier millets were not considered so much, they were not consumed so much by the people, so they are considered minor cereals. So you have to understand, cereals have been divided into two group: cereals and millets. Cereals are basically the staple food. Okay, in cereals you can consider maize, rice, wheat, barley, oat. These things can be considered under cereals. And in millets, all your millets, okay, like your barnyard millet, kodo millet, foxtail millet, all these millets come under millet category. Again, in millet also we have major and minor millet. Major millet are consumed by humans, but minor millets, they are not so much profitable, we can say, or they are not so much in use to the human. So what humans do, humans grow these minor millet in order to feed the livestock. Clear? So I hope this is clear. What is this cereal classification? So cereals have been again further divided into cereals and millets. And millets may we have major millets and minor millets. Clear? Now, students, okay. So Sahil have asked this question, and I was about to talk. I was about to say that that uh, if I talk about scientific name, so what to do regarding scientific name? Let me tell you, let me be very honest, that NABARD is asking one scientific name in phase one. Okay, so in phase one, you will see definitely see one question from scientific name, because in the past 2 3 years paper we have seen that. What to do about that? So students, again, there are so many crops, and for each crop, it is not feasible to remember the scientific name. But the major crops like your rice, wheat, maize, oat, barley, and other things that we are discussing here, all your millets, and if the scientific name is given in your summary sheet. So my request is that go through that scientific name and try to remember them. Okay, try to learn them. See, it will be hardly one marker question. If you can learn the scientific name, go ahead, just learn all of that. Otherwise, what you can do right now, just understand the concept, and before your examination, make a list of scientific name and try to revise it multiple times. So if there is a question from there, you can easily able to do it. You can easily do it, right? So that should be your approach towards scientific names of different crops. Now, next category we have is pulse crops, right? Okay, Rohit Sharma, we will have last class on YouTube tomorrow. Okay, then we'll not have classes on YouTube. They will be on the in the course itself. Okay, okay. So now we will move ahead to the next. That is a that is a pulse pulse crop. So students, what are pulse crop? So what are pulse crop? So basically, these are the legumes, grained legumes. So what are grain legumes? Let me tell you why this legume term has been given to the uh, pulses crop basically. So legume is a term that has been derived from again a Latin word which means to gather. Okay, so together they are gathering something. So what they are gathering, let me tell you. Here we have a legumes. Mostly all legumes have this ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen into the roots. So basically, these legume plants have this ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen into their roots. And how they are doing so? So students, in the legume crops, in the roots of the legume crops, there are some nodules that are present. Okay. So there are some nodules that are present. Okay. So let's not complicate this thing. Let me tell you in a very easy way. So in plant, we have root system and shoot system, right? So this root system of pulses crop or legumes that we are saying, they have this ability that they can, they can capture atmospheric nitrogen. Okay. So what is the purpose of capturing atmospheric nitrogen and why they are doing so? So students, see, plant needs need nutrients. Okay. And nitrogen is one of the most important nutrient that is required by plant, because from nitrogen proteins are made and everything is done, right? So nitrogen is important for plant. And usually what we do, we provide urea, we provide fertilizer to supplement the need of nitrogen. But in these legume crops, they have this inbuilt ability that they can fix this nitrogen. They can draw this nitrogen from atmosphere. And how they are doing so? Again, they have roots where nodules are present. Okay, their new root nodules are present, and these nodules have this ability to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. And how they are doing so? Again, how these nodules are fixing? Because inside these nodules, a bacteria resides that is known as rhizobium. Okay, so rhizobium bacteria resides inside the nodule of legume plant, and this rhizobium bacteria fix atmospheric nitrogen for the plant, and that fix atmospheric nitrogen, and that is utilized by the plant. So rhizobium gets shelter inside the nodule of legume plant, and in return what rhizobium does, it traps atmospheric nitrogen and provide it to the plant. Clear? So that is why these legumes, pulses are also called legumes, means they are gathering the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so these pulses are again grain legumes, so we are consuming the grain of such plants which are known as legumes. Okay, and students, as they have this ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen, so what they will do, they will increase the nitrogen content of soil. Okay, so they will increase the nitrogen content of soil, which means they are increasing the fertility of soil. Okay, so hence if any soil has degraded its fertility, or any soil is low in is in is infertile, so what farmer can do, farmer can grow these pulses crop, grow the legumes, and these legumes will help to restore the fertility of that land. Clear? So I hope with that, it is clear what are these pulses crops or legumes. Okay. Okay, chalo. Next, let's move ahead to the oilseed crops. So, students, as the name suggests, oilseed. So, from a name itself, it is clear. It is clear that it is talking about the crops from which oil is derived, right? So, where the crops in from which oil is derived are oilseed crops, like your mustard. A very classic example is mustard. Okay, then there is a soya bean. Then there are other crops like groundnut, also from there also we are deriving the oil. Then a flaxseed is there. Okay, so there are so many type of crops from which the oil seed is derived, right? So all those crops comes under the category that is known as oilseed crops or oilseed crops. Now again, these oilseed crops has been divided into two category. First is edible oil and the second is non-edible oil. So what is the difference here? As the name suggesting, edible means that can be consumed by us. So your groundnut oil, okay, soybean oil, sunflower oil, these can be consumed. So they are under category edible oil. And like your currant oil, mahua oil, which cannot be consumed, rather they are used for some ointment or medicinal purpose. They are part of non-edible oil. Okay. So I hope this is clear now, students. See, the scientific name was groundnut is given here, so you can learn this. It is important. Soybean scientific name is also important. Okay, glycine max for soybean, Archis hypogaea for groundnut. ठीक है, Karanjan mahua you can leave. It's not that much important. Now, next we have is fiber crop. Again, very easy. The crop from which we are deriving fiber. Okay, so and these fiber are further used for synthesis of cloths and ropes and other kinds of bags. So these are fiber crops, and fiber crops example are your cotton and jute, right? Chalo. Again, fibers are divided right from different part of the plant, and based on that, we have fruit fiber, we have stem fiber, and we have leaf fiber. What is fruit fiber? So, students, when we are deriving the fiber from the fruit part of a plant, that is a fruit fiber. So, example here is cotton. ठीक है? Next, we have is stem fiber. When we are using stem of a plant to derive the fiber, that is stem fiber. In case of jute, for jute, remember the name, that is Corcus capsularis. Very important. In cotton, remember the name Gossypium hirsutum. ठीक है? Very important. Next, we have is leaf or hard fiber. So when leaf of any plant is used to derive fiber, that is known as leaf or hard fiber. Okay. Now, next crop is sugar crop, right? Next crop is sugar crop. So here example of sugar crop, basically what are sugar crop? From where sugar is derived, okay? From where we are making the sugar. So like your sugar cane and sugar beet, these are two classical example of sugar crops. So in India, usually sugar cane is used for synthesis of for making sugar, but in other countries, sugar beet is also used. Now here, remember the name of this sugar cane. It is Saccharum officinarum, very important. And sugar beet also, that is Beta vulgaris. Okay, very important. Chalo. Next we have is commercial crop. Now, what are these commercial crop, students? These are basically the crops where we are using most part of the crop for the trading purpose. Okay, we need to sell these crops. So, like your sugarcane, cotton, and tobacco, the farmer do not take this crop back to the home, right? They usually these crops are taken to mills and other factories for the further processing. So these are your commercial crop. Again, example is sugarcane, cotton, and tobacco. So students, scientific name of tobacco is also important, Nicotiana tabacum. Okay, it is also important. So whatever scientific name I am highlighting here, do highlight it yourself, and later on try to learn the scientific names. Okay, chalo. Next we have is forage crop. So what are forage crops? So students, apart from the crops that human use for the consumption, there are few crops that are grown for the livestock. Okay. Yes, Chetak, commercial crops can be called as cash crop because again they are grown for the uh, for converting into cash, right? Chalo. We have forage crop. Forage crop is basically what where we are using the vegetative matter for the livestock. Okay, so apart from the crop that we are using for the consumption purpose, we also grow some crops for livestock. Clear? Now it include fodder, hay, silage, pasture, and example here is guinea grass and citeria. Okay, so these are the example of some forage crops. I hope it is clear. Next, coming to the silage and hay difference. So, students, it is important to understand the difference between silage and hay. Okay, what is this silage and hay? So, silage is basically when these fodder crops or forage crops, they are cut into pieces and they are allowed to ferment. Okay, fermentation process goes on, and after some time when this fermentation has reached a optimum condition, this is stored for the times when we do not have much feed to when we do not have much fodder crop to feed the livestock. Okay, so silage is basically you can say it is a method of storing these fodder crop for later use. Okay, so silage crops are basically the crops, few crops can be fermented and can be stored for the later part when the farmer do not have availability of fodder, and at that time farmer can use this silage crop to feed the livestock. So that is the silage. And what is hay? So student, hay is another form of storage of these fodder crop. In hay, what is done basically when the farmer is harvesting these when the farmer is cutting these fodder crop or forage crop, that is dried under sun. Okay, this crop that has been harvested is dried under the sun. All the moisture content is brought down, and once the moisture is there is no moisture in the that crop, it is stored for the later on. Basically, the crop are dried, the forage crop are dried under the sun and then stored in a very dry place. Clear. And at that and why it is stored? Because at times when there is no fodder, that can be again used to feed the livestock. Okay, I hope it is clear, the difference between silage and hay. Okay, so silage crop are maize, cowpea, jowar, and sorghum. Okay, what is silage crop? So students, silage is basically silage. You can consider it is a preservation method. So what we are doing in silage crop, few crops are grown so that we can harvest it. Okay, after after attaining some kind of maturity, like for say we are growing maize. Okay, and after before the flowering of maize, we have harvested maize. Okay, and after that what we'll do, we will collect and bring it down to the to a place, and at that place we will have some containers. Okay, and inside that containers we will chop this maize, and we will fill the maize crop, that chopped maize inside these container, and we will allow this maize to ferment. Okay, so after the when the fermentation process goes on, after it has attained a optimum condition, ठीक है, fermentation के बाद जब एक optimum condition आ जाती है, then that maize can be stored for the later use. Okay, that has attained an optimum condition, so ये क्या हो गया, this has become a silage, and now this silage can be used for feeding of livestock when at times the farmers do not have the enough feed or fodder to feed the livestock. Clear, Ashutosh? I hope it is clear. If there's any further doubt, tell me. Okay, difference between hay and silage. So Kartike, देखो, ठीक है? In hay, this fodder crops are dried under sun. Okay, in silage, they are not dried; they are fermented. So that is the difference. If we are drying these forage crop and then storing it for later use, that is hay. That fodder material will be called as hay. But if we are using the fodder or forage crop, um, and we are fermenting it for later use, then that will be called as silage. Okay. Yes, thank you, Sahil. Yes, that's the correct difference between hay and silage. Okay, you're welcome. So now I hope it's clear. Chalo. Next is green manure crop. Okay, so what are these green manure crops? So students, few crops are rich in nitrogen. Okay, so few crops have, high nitrogen content in their leaf, in their stem part. So at times when the soil lose fertility, okay, when there is when the land become infertile, so farmer can grow these green manure crops, and these green manure crops, after it has attained a certain height or it has attained certain volume, these can be cut down and these can be incorporated to soil. So what here farmer does, farmer grow these green manure crop. Okay, after like for say 40-45 days, they cut these green manure crop on the field, and you know incorporate this green manure crop in the soil. So basically these crops are mixed with soil. Okay, now after mixing, what will happen, these green manure crop, as they are rich in nitrogen, so when these will decompose, this crop leaf or stem or other part of this plant will decompose, it will release nitrogen in soil. Okay, so such crop which are used for such purposes are known as green manure crops. Clear? I hope it is clear. Now students, here two examples, sun hemp and dhecha. Scientific name of sunham is Cloterilia juncea, and sunhaja is Sesbania acuata. Okay, so you have to learn these two scientific names. Yes, Trina, usually these green manure, no, we cannot say they can completely substitute fertilizer. But if a farmer uses, eco-friendly practices, like a farmer is growing growing crop organically, then yes, these green manure would serve source of fertilizer there. Okay, they are a source of good fertilizer there. Okay. Yes, Sahil, yes, they are just used for the manure purpose. Uh, green manure, see, green manure is what? Manure is something that has nutrient, that is adding nutrient to the soil. Okay. And if we are using any crop for that purpose, for adding nutrient into the soil, that is a green manure crop. Clear? I hope this is clear now. Okay, you're welcome. Next are spices and no, Ashutosh, there is no need to go in detail. Okay, this much is sufficient. Just know the meaning of these things. Ki what are these crops? Okay, next is spices and condiments. So what are these? So students, spices and condiments, we all know. Okay, we all are Indians and we know the importance of these spices in our food, right? So anything, any crop that is adding flavor and any kind of flavor in order to our food, that is a spices and condiment. Now here we have different example given, that is ginger. Okay. So that is ginger, garlic, turmeric. Okay. So do remember the scientific name of these crop also. Ginger is gingiber officinale, garlic is Allium sativum, and turmeric is Curcumin longa. Okay, Curcuma longa. So these are the scientific name. You can learn these. Okay, next is the classification based on ontogeny or life cycle. So students, these crops are again further classified based on their life cycle, based on their ontogeny. Ontogeny is basically other name, other synonyms of life cycle. So first we have to understand what is the life cycle of a plant. So plant, we sow the seed. From the seed, the seedling comes out. Okay, this seed will germinate and it will form root and shoot part of the plant. After that, what will happen? The plant will grow and it will form leaves, stems. Okay, to its full potential, it will grow all kind of leaf and stem. So this is the vegetative phase. This is the vegetative phase. Okay, now after completing its vegetative phase, then what plant will do? Plant will start flowering. Okay, plant will start flowering because vegetative phase is completed. Now plant has to produce again seed, so it will start flowering. Okay, it will produce flowers, and inside the flowers it will produce seeds again, and again these seeds can be sown, and again from the seed new plant will germinate, and this life cycle goes on. So this is the basically this part is called reproductive phase, where seed are formed. Okay, so we have vegetative phase and reproductive phase. Then this is the life cycle of a plant. Now, based on this life cycle, again, crops are divided as annual, biennial, and perennial. Very easy. Annual means plant which can complete, or crops which can complete their life cycle within a year. Okay, within a year, that is called annual crops, like your rice. Scientific name is Oryza sativa. Wheat is Triticum aestivum. Maize is Gia maize. Mustard is Brassica species. ठीक है? So if any crop can complete the life cycle in 1 year, that is called annual crop. If it can complete the life cycle in, if it takes 2 years to complete the life cycle, then it is biennial crop. Example is beta sugar beet, that is Beta vulgaris. And if it takes more than 2 years to complete the life cycle, then that will be called perennial crop, like your Napier fodder grass. So students, remember the name of this. Remember the scientific name of this also, because it can be asked to you, that is Penicetum purpureum. Okay, coconut is again the example of perennial crop. I hope it is easy, right? Now, then we have botanical classification. So, students, botanically, the plants, the crops that we have are of angiosperm group. So, basically, all the crops have been, all the plants, as I have told you, have been classified. Okay, so these plants are classified into different groups. So, we have bryophytes, pteridophytes, fern, then we have gymnosperm and angiosperm. Yes, Sahil, tea is also a perennial. Okay, tea is also perennial plant. So we have these categories. So all our crops usually belong to angiosperm category. Okay. So our crops are basically monocot or dicot. So what is this monocot and dicot? So when you see a seed, okay, just analyze the seed. This is the seed of a maize. Okay, if you have ever भुट्टा तो सबने खाया होगा, right? So maize, if you have seen the seed of a maize, so if you try to split it, it will not split into two equal halves. So that means it is a monocot. It has only one cotyledon. Okay, inside in its seed there is only one cotyledon. But on the other hand, if you have ever, see in the pea seed. So pea seed, if you'll try to split it open, it will divide into two equal half, right? So that means that pea seed have two cotyledon. So based on the number of cotyledon any seed have, crops are again divided into monocots and dicots. Monocots are what? Crops having one cotyledon in the seed. Example is your maize. And dicot means where the crop has two cotyledon in the seed. So, okay, example are your pea, chickpea, right? Or then grams and beans are the example of dicotyledon seeds, right? Chalo. Now, there are some major distinguishing feature between monocot and dicot. ठीक है? Uh, it is, not that much important because I haven't seen any question from here, but just have this basic understanding what is actual difference. So students, in monocot there are vascular bundle inside the plant. So there is a xylem, there is a phloem, which is a tissue responsible for transportation of water and food inside the plant, right? So they are called vascular bundle. So xylem and phloem of monocot, it is scattered inside the plant. So you will see, if you will cut open the monocot crop, it is just scattered inside the plant. Okay, but in dicot, the xylem and phloem you know, is arranged in a ring pattern. So there is a definite arrangement in dicot plant of these vascular bundles. Now, if we see the seed, so seed basically there is one cot in monocotyledon, and in dicot there are two cotyledon. Okay. No, Aishi, wheat is monocotyledon. Okay, wheat, rice is monocotyledon. Next we have is flower parts. So flower parts means in a monocot, if you will see the flower petals or a flower part, they will be of multiple of three, means it will have 3, 6, 9 such number of petals or carpels in it. But in dicot, it will be in the multiple of 4, like it will be 4 or 8, right? Then if we see the leaf, pattern of leaf, so in monocot, you will see parallel venation. Okay, like parallel venation can be seen in monocot, and in dicot you will see reticulate venation, means there will be branched venation, means these veins will appear branched to you. So this is the feature that you can look for in any plant. Okay, today also you can do this exercise, just go out and just look around. If you see the branching pattern of any plant, that means you can understand that it is a dicot. And if you see leaf, in a leaf there is a parallel veins, then you can say that okay, this is a monocot plant. Okay, then we have a root also. So in monocot there is a fibrous root system. What is fibrous root? Basically the root is scattered, it is a scattered form, there is no main root that is going down into the soil. But in dicot you can see there is a tap root, there is one main root that is going down in the soil, and then we have a supporting root around it. Okay, that is to tap root system. So here are some examples. So that is the difference between monocot and dicot. Okay, with this we have come to the next classification, that is classification based on season. Okay, so students, in agriculture, uh, there are two main season. First is kharif season, ठीक है? Then we have a rabi season. You might have seen kharif marketing season while reading the current affair also, and rabi marketing season. So what is this kharif and rabi basically, students? So kharif season is uh, also called as monsoon season. Okay, so when crops are grown at the time when there is a rain, means when there is a monsoon, on the onset of monsoon, if the crops are grown, so such crops are called kharif crops. Okay, so kharif crops are basically which are sown during June, July. So the onset of monsoon is around June, July, right? So crops grown at that time is known as kharif crop, and harvesting time of these crops is usually September, October. Okay, classic example is rice and maize. Okay, and groundnut is also a kharif crop. Example also you have to learn, right? Then we have rabi crop. What are rabi crops, students? These crops are sown during October, November. So at winter time. So they are means Rabi means winter. Understand this thing. Okay. Rabi means winter crop. Kharif means monsoon crop. Okay. Or rainy season crop. And these crops are harvested during March, April. So फ्रॉम जून जुलाई टू सितंबर अक्टूबर आपकी खरीफ क्रॉप रहती है. सितंबर अक्टूबर के बाद अक्टूबर नवंबर से आपकी रबी स्टार्ट हो जाती है. ठीक है. सो इट इज इन सीक्वेंस. सो टिल इट विल रिमेन टिल मार्च अप्रैल. ओके. एग्जाम्पल आर बार्ले, wheat, oat, potato, bengal gram. Then there is a time in between rabi and kharif, that is known as summer and Zaid crop. Okay, that is also known as summer season or Zaid season. So we can also utilize that small time that is the time that is there in between Kharif and Rabi crop, and we can grow some short duration crop. Okay, so their sowing time here is February, March, and the harvesting is again May, June. Example are all your black gram, green gram, and cowpea and pulses, which are short duration crop, can be grown at that short duration of time. ठीक है. So such crop will be called as summer crop or Zaid crop. Okay. Prathamesh, see, it can be 1 year also, it can be one season also. Usually, if we see the field crop, the crop complete their life cycle in one season. But there can be some crop which can complete within 1 year. Okay, so both way you can take it. But that time here is for annual crop is less than 1 year. Means within 1 year or less than 1 year, if it is completing, then that is annual crop. Okay. See, Rabi crops are winter crops, Kharif crop are rainy crop or monsoon crop. Okay, and summer crops are Zaid crop. ठीक है? Now, Ayushi, कि ma'am, all legumes are Zaid crop. No, we cannot say all legumes are Zaid crop, because here you can see in Rabi also we are growing some crop like Bengal gram. We cannot say, but usually the pulses crop or legume crops, they are short duration. Okay, they complete their life cycle within 2 to 3 months. So they are usually taken during this Zaid season. Okay. Okay, if there is any further doubt, you can write it. Okay, otherwise I'll proceed. Is there any further doubt? Okay, so we'll proceed. Now, students, there is another classification which is based on pollination. Now, first we have to understand what is this pollination. So for that, we have to understand the different part of a plant, sorry, different part of a flower. So students, this is a flower. Okay, this is a diagram of a flower, and inside the flower, there are different parts. But the most important one that we have to learn here is the male plant part, which is known as stamen. In stamen, we have two parts, that is anther and filament. So this is stamen. These are stamen of these flower. Okay. Okay, Prathamesh. So here I am trying to tell you that flower part means the petals of flower, or the carpel. You know, there is a small structure below the flower which where you will see a small green like structure, which is also have some wing like extensions. Okay. Okay, just take a carpel of a flower. Carpel means petal of a flower. This is the petal of a flower. Okay. So in monocot, you will generally see, in monocot crop, you will generally see there is, these petals are in multiple of 3, means it is 3, 6 or 9. Okay. In dicot, you will see these petals of flower will be in the multiple of 4, means it can be 4 or 8 or 12, so and so. Understood? Okay, summer and Zaid crop. Summer and Zaid crop are nothing. Just understand, if any crop that is sown during February, March, okay, that can be sown during February, March and harvested, can be harvested during May and June. That is called summer or Zaid crop. Okay, they are short duration crop, because you can understand. Okay, so you can understand they are very short duration crop, because within 2 to 3 months they are completing their life cycle. So all your means pulses, usually they have short life cycle. So they can be taken or they can be sown during this Zayed season, and hence they are called Zayed crop. Okay, understood? Okay. So I was talking about the part of a flower. So we have two part, the most important one to understand this pollination process. So there is a male part which is known as stamen, having anther and filament, and there is a female part which is known as carpel, and part is divided into again stigma, style, and ovary. So this is a female part. It is divided into stigma. This is style, and this is ovary here. Okay. Now, in order to form a seed, okay, so in order to form a seed, in order to form a seed, anther produce pollen. Okay, inside these anther pollens are produced. These are so small pollens that are produced inside the anther. These pollens need to be transferred to the female stigma. Okay, so what will happen once this pollen is transferred to female stigma? Here, this pollen will form a pollen tube. Okay, and inside the pollen tube, there will be cell. There will be cell division, and it will reach the female part here. Okay, and it will fuse with the egg cell of the plant, which is there inside this ovary, and it will form seed. Okay, so that is how seed inside a flower is formed. So you can see that pollen is getting transferred into the female part to form seed. So the process of transferring this pollen from male stamen to the female stigma, that is pollination. Okay, so see, plant do not move itself, right? Plant cannot just put this thing here, but we need some kind of agent. Okay, we need some kind of an agent to do this pollination. So students, sometimes this pollination can happen self, and sometimes we need some agent to do this pollination, okay, inside the flower. So based on that, again, we have two type of crops. First we have is self pollinating crop, and another we have is cross pollinating crop. Okay, so I hope pollination kya hai and it is clear to you. So pollination is nothing, it is transferring of pollen, okay, to the female part, that is the pollination. Okay, that is the pollination. Now pollination are of two type. I have told you, it is self pollination and cross pollination. So in some plants, where there is closed flower, okay, where there is a closed flower, so all these um anther and stigma, they are in close vicinity, so they can transfer their pollen to the female part, right? There is no need of any other agent to do that pollination. So there, these crops are called self pollination. These are called self pollinated crops, where this self pollination is happening. Clear? So self pollinated crops are what? They are crops where the pollens in itself get transferred to the female part. ठीक है? They are self pollinated crops. Next we have is cross pollinated crops. So students, in some crops, what happened? We need some kind of agent to take this pollen from one part to the other part. Okay, because this that can be due to many reasons. Okay, that can be due to many reasons. Let me tell you first reason that we have two type of flower also, students. There are two type of flower. Okay, there is a male flower and there is a female flower, and then there is a flower where both male and plus female part is present. ठीक है? If we say male flower, that shows in that particular flower only male part will be present. Okay. If we say female flower, so that means it has only female part. But if we say any flower having male and female part, both they are present, so in that case self pollination is possible. But if any crop have different male flower and different female flower, then at the in that case we need to transfer the pollens from this male flower to the female flower, and for that the plant needs some agents. Okay, so now these agent can be different type, like you can see here butterfly is helping in transferring of pollen to one flower to the flower. Other insects can help in doing so, water can help in doing so, plants can, oh sorry, wind can help in doing so, right? So if that is required in any kind of plant or crop, that is called as cross pollinated crops. ठीक है, आई होप इट इज क्लियर. What is pollination process? ठीक है, it is just simple कि it is a transfer of male part to the female part. ठीक है, male pollen to the female stigma. It is just that transfer. Okay, in some crop, this transfer can be done in itself. Okay, means they are self-capable of this transfer, so they are called self-pollinated crops. But in some crops, these pollens need to be transferred to the female flower through some agent. Where agents are required, that is known as cross pollination. Clear? Is there any doubt here? Let me know, otherwise I'll move ahead. Okay, so no doubt, right? Okay. Now, students, as I have told you that we need some agent for the cross-pollination. Now, these agents can be biotic and abiotic. Okay. What is the difference between biotic and abiotic agent? So, abiotic agents are basically, देखो, we have to understand the meaning of biotic and abiotic. Biotic means living. Okay, biotic means living. Yes, Ayushi, that agent can be humans, or we can also help in transferring the pollens. Okay. And next we have is abiotic. Abiotic means non-living. Okay, when non-living things help in this pollination, that is known as abiotic agent, like your wind and water, right? So these can also help in pollination. Then there are so many biotic agents like your birds, reptiles, mammals, okay, and then insects. They can help in pollination. They are called biotic agent. Now there are few terminology that you have to learn for the pollination here, students. So when water pollination is there in any, that is known as hydrophily. Okay, in any crop, water pollination is there. Basically, the water pollination or pollination through water is known as hydrophily. Wind pollination or pollination through wind is known as anemophily. Pollination by animals is known as zoophily, and pollination by insect is known as entomophily. So these are some important terms. ठीक है, ये कुछ important terms है जो आपने याद रखने हैं. Hydrophily, anemophily, zoophily, and entomophily. They can be directly asked to you in your objective. ठीक है? So these are some term that is there and you can learn them. चलो. Now, students, based on again availability of type of flower. So, as I have told you that we have different type of flowers, right? We have a male flower, we have female flower, and sometimes we have flower. They are called hermaphrodite flower. Okay, where male and female do both both part are present. They are called hermaphrodite flowers. So, students, again, if any crop have both the flower, like if it has male and female flower present in one plant or one, plant body, that is known as monoecious crop. Like your maize, in your maize you might have seen, we have tassel. This is a maize, so this is a tassel of a maize, okay, which is the male flower bearing part. And then we have a silk, okay, which form the corn. Okay, then we have a silk. So this is a female flower. So this is a female flower, this is a male flower here. So in one plant, both male and female are present. That's why it's called monoecious. Okay. But in some crops like papaya, in papaya, we need to grow two plant at a time because one need to be male and one need to be female, because papaya will have either male flower or female flower. So these crops will be called as dioecious, where we need two plant. Okay. So remember this, where we need one plant. Okay, there is no need of any other plant. Just in one plant, we'll get both male and female. That is monoecious crop or monoecious plant. If we need two plant, that is called dioecious crop or dioecious plant. Clear? Is there any confusion here? Okay, I hope there's no confusion here. Okay, if it is there, please write in the chat box. Okay, next is the classification based on depth and type of root system. Okay, students, there is a classification. Now, this classification is based on the type of root system that is present or depth of root system that is present in the crop. So, first we will understand based on depth of root system. So, what is depth of root system? See, as we know that plant have shoot system, that is above ground part, and we have root system, that is the part which is below the soil surface, right? Now, plant can be shallow rooted, like means they have shallow roots which can only penetrate to some extent, means less than 1 meter of the soil, which can penetrate just less than 1 meter of the soil. Okay, then we have intermediate root crops where the depth of the root system can be is from 1 to 1.5 meter, and then we have a deep rooted crops where the depth of root is more than 1.5 meter. ठीक है, so it's very easy to okay, it's very easy to understand. Okay, Naveed, I'll explain it once again. First, let me complete this. Okay, so chalo. As I was telling you, based on depth of root system, we have shallow root crop, we have intermediate root crop, and we have deep root crops. So, what is difference here? In shallow root, the root will extend up to only 1 meter or less than 1 meter. Okay, then intermediate root crops are basically where root will extend uh, from 1 to 1.5 meter, and deep root crop where the root will extend more than 1.5. So here example is alpha alpha of deep root crop, very important. Intermediate crop ka example is faba bean and sugar beet, and for shallow root all your cereals, okay, like rice, wheat, barley, ray, maize, these are the shallow root crops. Clear? Chalo. I hope there's no confusion here, and let me just go back to this slide. So okay, ठीक है, I hope it's clear. Chalo. So, based on availability of flour. Okay, Prathamesh has asked cotton is also, yes, cotton is also a deep rooted crop. Okay. Okay, Sahil is asking मैम जिसमें दोनों मेल और फीमेल फ्लावर होंगे वो मोनोशियस, और जिसमें सिर्फ मेल फ्लावर या yes, yes, Sahil, you are absolutely right. Okay. So Naved was asking me regarding this. Okay. So Naved, understand this thing. ठीक है, monoecious, we have monoecious plant and we have dioecious plant. Okay, or we can say crop or plant, both are same thing. Okay. So monoecious क्या होता है basically? What is monoecious? Monoecious means in one plant you will get both male and female flower. ठीक है, means here in one plant, like you can see here the plant of maize. In this plant, this is one plant body, right? This is one plant body, and in one plant you have male flower, ठीक है, here, and you have female flower here. So now, in order to do pollination, or in order to, in order to have the supply of pollens, this plant can serve the source of pollen. Means here what I mean by saying that कि इसी प्लांट में मेल पार्ट भी है और फीमेल पार्ट भी है. अब this male part can pollinate the female part of female part of the same plant. ठीक है. Now this will be through some agent. Okay, this will be through some agent. But मोनोशियस और डायोशियस किस बेसिस पे है? बेसिकली अगर एक ही प्लांट में, इन वन प्लांट वी हैव बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल फ्लावर, दैट विल बी मोनोशियस. And dioecious is in one plant we have either male or female. ठीक है, means in dioecious in one plant we will have only one type of flower. Either we will have male flower or we will have female flower. Okay, so it is, I hope Navid it's clear. Monoecious means in one plant you will have male and female both. In dioecious, it will one plant will have either female or male flower. Okay, okay. Sahil, see, in case of monoecious plant, this pollen can fertilize the female part. But again, if they are too far away, like in maize, there need to be some agent, like wind can help, wind pollination can happen here. Okay, but if this plant will grow singly, means if I'll grow only one maize plant, so pollination is possible there. But if I'll grow only one papaya plant, there can be no pollination because it will have only female or male. It need another plant to complement itself, to complement it. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Okay, and Sahil, it is not fertilize. Yes, means yes, you can say fertilize, but it's the term is pollination. Yes, Prathamesh. Okay. Chalo. I hope it is clear now. Chalo. Now, based on type of root system, let's discuss it again. So we have tap root system and we have fibrous root system. Now, what is tap root system? As I was explaining this to you in monocot and dicot also, in tap root, there will be one main stem that will go deep inside the soil. That's not stem, there will be one main root that will go deep inside the soil, which will be called as main root. And then we will have lateral root around this main root. Okay? So if any crop have this type of root system, that is called tap root system. Then next we have is fibrous root system. You can see here, this is a fibrous root. Means there is no main tap root that is going or that is emerging anywhere. Rather, from a common point, bunch of roots are arising. Okay, bunch of roots are arising. So this is a example of fibrous root system. Now example of tap root is green gram, red gram and grape, and fibrous root is cereal crops, wheat, rice, etc. Clear? I hope it's easy to understand. Chalo. Now let's discuss next classification, that is based on climate. So till now, if anyone have any doubt, please you can write. Anyone having any doubt? Students who are connected on YouTube also, they can also ask the doubts. Okay. Okay, everything is clear. Now let's move ahead. So based on climate, we have three type of crops. First, we have temperate crops. Then we have tropical zone crops, and then we have subtropical crops. So again, students, see, y- you might have observed that there are few crops that you see only in summer season. There are few crop that you only see in winter season. Okay, why that is happening? Because as I have also told you in the beginning that these crops will have different climatic requirement. Okay, they can grow under certain climatic conditions. So based on that, we have again a classification that what kind of climate is suitable to what type of crop. Okay, so if any crop like cool climate, like any crop can withstand winter condition, cool condition, or it can withstand the chilling temperature, then that crop is called as temperate crop. Okay, so all such crops which can bear such kind of conditions, they are called temperate crops. Okay, so plant crops which can tolerate winter hardy conditions or the chilling temperature, they are called temperate zone crops. So your wheat, oat, rye, these are the example of temperate zone crops. See, zone is what basically in our country also might have seen that the Jammu Kashmir and Himachal area is a temperate zone where apples are grown. Okay, in south you will see it is a tropical zone where the temperature is very high and there are different kinds of crops grown there. Then there are some parts in between where both type of conditions are there. It is not too cold, not too hot, right? So they are called subtropical zones. So there we will find some different kind of crops, right? So based on that, this classification is there. So tropical is nothing, it is basically where frost does not occur and the temperature is very high.
right? So example here is rice, sugarcane, mango. And then in subtropical, where the crop can tolerate sub-zero freezing temperature zero below freezing point of water. So basically, student, what is subtropical crops? It is nothing. Basically, these crops can withstand cool condition also, and they can withstand high temperature also. So they have this ability to uh, fight against all kind of climatic condition, and they can survive. So they are called subtropical zone crops. Okay, I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. If there is any doubt, please let me know. Example of subtropical crops are citrus, dates, and fig. Okay. Any doubt? Okay, so it's easy, right? Okay, so Smriti, temperate zone crops are basically crops which can withstand, chilling environment condition, means which can withstand snowfall, which can stand withstand a 0 degree Celsius temperature. So if any crop can, bear the cool environment condition or the winter condition, they are called temperate crops. Crops which are grown in tropical regions, like where the temperature is very high, or they can withstand high temperature condition and there is no frost. You see, the tropical zone crops cannot withstand frost condition because they will die, okay, due to the low temperature condition. So tropical zones crops are basically the crops which are grown in regions where their temperature is very high. They are called tropical crops. And if any crop that can withstand cool condition and the hot condition both, they are called subtropical crops. Okay? So they are in between, they are in between temperate and tropical. Clear? Okay, subtropical. Uh, Ma'am, are commercial crops cash crop? Chetak, yes, commercial crops are cash crops. I have replied that query, I think. Okay, okay. Okay, temperate versus subtropical. See, there is a confusion in temperate and subtropical. देखो temperate and subtropical का difference इतना ही है. Temperate में जो crops आती हैं, they can only withstand cold condition. ठीक है? If you will keep this temperate crop, means if you will try to grow apple in south, the apple will not survive there. But citrus is one thing that can be grown in temperate condition and that can be grown in tropical condition. So that is the difference between temperate and subtropical. I hope now it's clear. No, temperate and subtropical is not same. Now it's clear, Rufus. Okay, okay, chalo. Next is based on nutrient uptake. We have again a classification. So students, based on nutrient uptake, we have two type of crop: restorative crop, exhaustive crop. Restorative crops are basically the crops which can, restore the nutrient of the soil, like your legumes. I have told you, legumes have this ability to make soil fertile. So they are called restorative crop. Means if they are taking some nutrient from the soil, so they have this ability to replenish it back. But exhaustive crops are those which feed heavily on soil, means like your cereal crops like rice, wheat, sorghum, maize. These are the exhaustive crop. They only take nutrient from the soil. They do not contribute in replenishing soil nutrient back again. Okay, so they are called exhaustive crop. Clear? So I hope it is clear. If there's something you need to ask, please you can ask again. Okay, now we have to discuss based on carbon dioxide fixation classification. Okay, and now it is a thing that need to be covered in detail because there is a lot of confusion here. So students, देखो, there is a lot of process that goes behind carbon dioxide fixation inside the plant, but we have to just have the overview understanding. Okay, we just need to understand it in a basic form. So what is carbon dioxide fixation in plant? See, plant make their own food, we all know that, and that process is known as photosynthesis, right? So what happens in photosynthesis? Plant absorb carbon dioxide from atmosphere. It takes nutrient, or sorry, it takes water from the soil, and in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is something which is already present in plant. It make glucose and releases oxygen. Clear? So I hope it's very easy to understand. Plant take carbon dioxide from atmosphere, okay, absorb water from the soil, and in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll is something which is already present in plant. Okay, so in presence of sunlight, it make glucose, which is food of a plant, and it releases oxygen, right? So this is the process. This is the basic process of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide fixation is basically the process how this carbon dioxide is getting fixed inside the plant. Clear? So carbon fixation or carbon assimilation is the conversion process of inorganic carbon into organic compound. Basically, plant is absorbing inorganic carbon from the atmosphere and converting it into the organic compound, that is glucose. Okay, and this process is known as photosynthesis. Clear? So based on this carbon dioxide fixation, we have a classification, and let's first understand a mechanism. Okay, what goes behind and how this carbon dioxide, inorganic carbon dioxide is getting converted into organic carbon. So students, there are two reactions that goes inside the plant cell. Okay, first is light reaction, and then we have the light independent reaction. Okay, so here we have two reactions that goes inside the plant cell. So what is light reaction? Basically, light reaction is nothing. देखो, chloroplast, chloroplast is the cell organelle. Okay, we have a plant cell, right? This is plant cell. It will have cell wall. Then there is a vacuole, big vacuole inside it. Then there are chloroplast. Along with there are mitochondria present. Then there will be a chloroplast present. Inside this chloroplast, chlorophyll is there. Okay, inside this chloroplast, chlorophyll is there, which is a pigment, and this pigment help capturing the sunlight. Okay, this chlorophyll is a pigment basically, pigment which capture sunlight. ठीक है? Now this thing which we are seeing here is going inside a chloroplast. Inside chloroplast, what is happening? The chlorophyll pigment is capturing the sunlight. Okay. Now, this whole process is divided into two phase. ठीक है? It has been divided into two phase. First is light phase. Why it is called light phase? Because it need light to initiate. Okay, it needs sunlight to initiate. Next is called light independent phase. It does not mean that this happens at night time, but rather it is not dependent on light. Okay, it is independent of light. Okay, that can goes, if there is no sunlight, then also this process can go. But for this first half process we need light, so it is called light reaction. Okay, so basically light is being trapped by chlorophyll. Okay, due to that trapped light, water, that is H2O, it gets split into hydrogen ion plus oxygen ion. ठीक है? It gets split into hydrogen and oxygen ion. Now this oxygen is released back to atmosphere, and this hydrogen is used further. This hydrogen is used further to convert this NADP, okay, to NADPH. Okay, so this NADP is which is already there in plant, and it is activated to NADPH, which is source of energy for further process. And same at the same time, ADP, which is already present in the plant, get converted into ATP due to the addition of phosphorus. ठीक है? Due to addition of phosphorus, this ADP get converted into ATP, again a energy source for the further processes. ठीक है? Now at the second stage, what happened? Carbon dioxide, okay, which is captured by atmosphere, okay, this goes through a Kelvin cycle and get converted into sugar, which is a end product, which is the food of a plant. ठीक है? This is the overview of this mechanism. ठीक है? Now let's understand them it in a detail. So students, first we have is a light reaction. It is also called primary photochemical reaction or Hill reaction or Arnott cycle. ठीक है? So देखो, this is not that much important. Let me tell you, question will be not asked from here. It is just for your basic understanding purpose. That's it. Okay. so that you can well understand the classification part. The classification is more important. Next we have is dark reaction. It is also known as Blackman reaction or path of carbon in photosynthesis. So देखो, in light reaction ATP and NADPH2 are produced. I have shown you how, right? Uh, so it is also called Hill reaction because Hill was the scientist who proved that chloroplasts produce oxygen from water in the presence of sunlight. So basically what chloroplast does, it split water into oxygen and hydrogen ion, and that oxygen is released. So that was told by Hill. So Hill reaction was the name given to this particular reaction. Again, it is known as Anand cycle because Anand showed that hydrogen ion which is released, that is used to convert NADP to NADPH. Okay, that's why it's also known as Anand cycle. Next we have is dark reaction, that is light independent reaction. So students, saying it dark reaction doesn't mean that it will happen at night time. Rather, it does not depend on light. Okay, that's the meaning here. Now, in dark reaction, what will happen? This CO2, which is being trapped by, plant from atmosphere, that will reduce. Okay, that will reduce to glucose. We have seen how, with the help of ATP and NADP, which is formed in this light reaction, that CO2 will be reduced to glucose, which is the end product, and this is a food of plant. Clear? I hope it is clear. Now, the Blackman was the scientist who, who the concept of this dark reaction in photosynthesis was the I was explained initially by this person Blackman, and that's why it's known as Blackman reaction. And there are two type of cycles that happens here. There is three C3 cycle and C4 cycle through which this CO2 get converted into glucose. And based on this cycle, which through which cycle in any plant this CO2 is being getting converted into glucose, we have the classification. Okay, any doubt? Okay, so Smruti, mechanism photosynthesis basically that the CO2, okay, and water, okay, CO2 is absorbed by plant from atmosphere, and water is taken by plant from the soil, and in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, this get converted into glucose. Glucose is basically the food of plant, and oxygen is released. Okay, so this is the simple mechanism of photosynthesis. Clear? Okay. So students, as I have told you, now we have come to the classification part. Okay. Now, just in simple language, through which process the carbon dioxide is being converted into glucose, based on that we have this classification, and that is the thing that is required from you to understand. You don't need to go into the mechanism and everything. Okay, just have the understanding what is light and dark reaction. That's it. Okay. So students, we have C3 plant, C4 plant, and CAM plant. What is the C3 plant? Basically in C3 plant, this CO2 is getting converted into glucose through Kelvin cycle. Okay, so CO2 first get converted into this CO2 get converted into three carbon compound, carbon compound. That's why it's called C3 plant. ठीक है, very simple to understand. जो CO2 है, when plant take this CO2, okay, inside the cell, this get converted into a carbon, three carbon compound. ठीक है, three carbon compound structure. That is why it is called C3 plant. In C4 plant, this CO2 get converted into C4, means 4 carbon compound, and then it get converted into 3 carbon compound, and then in different part of a cell which is known as bundle sheath cell, this carbon dioxide is getting converted into glucose. That is why it is known as C4 plant. ठीक है? Understood? C3 C4 is nothing. देखो, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जब व्हेन प्लांट टेक कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, अगर वो पहले 3 कार्बन कंपाउंड बनाता है, देन इट इज कॉल्ड C3 प्लांट. अगर वो 4 कार्बन कंपाउंड बनाता है आफ्टर टेकिंग CO2 इनसाइड, देन दैट इज कॉल्ड C4 प्लांट. C4 प्लांट में क्या होता है? देखो, जो ग्लूकोज है दैट इज C6. तो C3 can easily get converted into C6. But C4 को अगर हम डबल करेंगे, that will become C8, which is not glucose. So इस C4 को C3 convert करना पड़ता है so that it can get converted to C6. ठीक है, that is why जो आपका C4 प्लांट है उसमें एक डिफरेंट सेक्शन होता है प्लांट सेल में, दैट इज नोन एज बंडल शीथ सेल। ठीक है, इन बंडल शीथ सेल first C4 get converted into C3 and then this Calvin cycle happens and then this glucose is formed. Clear? I hope अब ये clear होगा. Next is CAM. Now apart from C3 and C4 we have a other category which is known as CAM plant. अब CAM plant क्या होते हैं students? यहाँ पे जहाँ पे in this CAM plant the mechanism is reversed. तो जो प्लांट्स हमारे डिजर्ट कंडीशन में पाए जाते हैं वहां पे एट द मॉर्निंग टाइम स्टोमेटा गेट क्लोज, क्योंकि अगर स्टोमेटा will remain open at in the morning time, what will happen in the daytime basically, all the water will be lost from the plant, and already we have the scarcity of water in the desert condition, so they will close their stomata at the daytime and open during the night time. So what they do at the night time, they trap all the carbon dioxide inside, and at the daytime when the stomata are closed, then they are converting this carbon dioxide into the glucose. ठीक है, so ये थोड़ा सा different हो जाता है यहाँ पे, and that's the difference. So with that we have come to the difference, or the difference between C3, C4 and CAM plant. Any doubt till here? So till now, anyone have any doubt, please let me know. I'll just wait for 2 minutes and then we'll continue. Okay. So Ashutosh, we'll discuss CAM plant here. Okay. So students, देखो, uh, we'll come to the CAM plant. Okay. Through this classification, I'll make you explain what is this CAM plant. Okay. So students, see, in most of the plant belong to the C3 category. So 85% of plant that we have on earth are C3 types. Okay. Only 3% are of C4 type and few are of CAM type. ठीक है. 8% are of CAM type. Now in C3 plant, C3 type of photosynthesis goes on. ठीक है. In C4, C4 type goes on. So यहाँ पे only C3 happens. In C4, C3 and C4 both happens because C4 first get converted into C3 and then get converted into glucose. ठीक है. Then in C3, stomata open at daytime and closes at night. Same goes with the C4. ठीक है. Stomata open at daytime and closes at night. C3 are usually found in temperate region and C4 are usually found in tropical and semi-tropical region. ठीक है. Then examples are given here. Important are example of C4 because they can be asked to you in exam. ठीक है. Now coming to the CAM plant. So CAM plant में बहुत लोगों को confusion है. So students, see, to understand CAM plant, we will come back to this slide. Okay. So students, we have to understand here, देखो, we have to understand here in CAM plant are basically those plant which are found in desert condition, okay, which are found in desert condition. Desert condition or the region where there is a scarcity of water, okay. So if we have scarcity of water, देखो, this is plant leaf. In plant leaf, we have stomata. Stomata are what? These are the opening, or these are just the opening from which the carbon dioxide is, taken in by the plant and water is released, water and oxygen is released outside. ठीक है? So with oxygen, some amount of water is also lost through this stomata. Now, in desert condition, where there is already scarcity of water, and at daytime when the if the plant will open the stomata, what will happen? Along with the oxygen, there will be a lot of loss of, क्या होगा? There will be loss of water, right? So these plant cannot cannot open these stomata during daytime. So what they does, at the daytime they close their stomata, rather at the night time, okay, rather at the night time they open their stomata and collect CO2. So at the night time they collect all the CO2 from the atmosphere, okay. During daytime they closes their CO2, sorry, not CO2, they closes their stomata and and at that time when there is sunlight, when in the presence of sunlight, then they convert the trapped CO2 which was trapped during the night time into glucose. Now is it clear? Okay. So see, Samruti, no, they will not ask you the light and dark reaction. Don't worry. Okay. So now CAM is clear or not? Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll proceed. Okay. Okay. You're welcome, Junaid. Any Naved, it is clear or not? Ashutosh? Okay. Does it mean CAM plant releases O2 during night? Yes. Yes. They releases O2 during night. Anything else? Okay. Is it clear or not? Just let me know. Okay, I'll just finish this table. So as I was telling you, 8% of plants are a CAM plant, and they make food through CAM photosynthesis reaction, right? Now, here C3, C4 cycle both happen spatially, okay, in different part of the same cell, and inverted, the stomata cycle is inverted, then C3, C4 open at night, closes at daytime. Okay, found in desert condition. Example are all the desert plant. Okay, like your cactus, orchid, pineapple, then your different type of cactus. All these belong to the CAM plant, right? Also, aloe vera is a part of, also example of CAM plants. I think it is clear, right? Chalo. Now we have last classification, I think, based on the special purposes. Okay. So based on special purposes, we have different type of crops. First is arable crop. So what are arable crop, students? So arable crops are basically crops where we need to plow the land. Means we need to first prepare the land in order to grow these crops. Okay. So all your crops like your cereal crops, your cash crops, commercial crops, we need to first prepare the land in order to grow them. They are called arable crops. Clear? Now, next we have is aromatic crop. From the name itself, it is clear. If any crop have some, a volatile substance or odoriferous substance through which are getting any kind of aroma. Okay, so that is called aromatic crops like your lemongrass, citronella, patchouli, mint. These are the example of aromatic crop just to, enhance aroma. Then we have is augment crop. Now, what is augment crop here? Augment crops are basically the crops which when grown with the main crop help in increasing the yield of main crop. Okay, example here is Japanese mustard grown with berseem. So what happens here, if we just grow berseem, like for say in 1 hectare, if I have grown berseem, I get 10 quintal yield of berseem, right? For say, okay. But in that same 1 hectare, if I'll grow berseem plus Japanese mustard, so the yield of berseem will increase and it may go to 15 quintal. Okay, so that is the augment crop. So here this Japanese mustard has worked as an augment crop where this Japanese mustard has helped in increasing the yield of berseem. Clear? I hope it is clear. If there is any doubt, please ask. ठीक है? Then we have avenue crop. Avenue crop क्या होती है? Basically, these are the crop which are grown along the roadside, along the farm boundaries. ठीक है? So you might have seen when you travel in the road, so you will see some plantation is done along the roadside to provide the shade, right? So these crops will be called as avenue crop. In farm also to provide to to mark a boundary. Crops are grown to form a boundary, then that will be also called avenue crop. Then we have catch or contingent crop. What are these? So students, sometimes there can be huge losses in our main crop. So we after that farmer had to recover that loss. So for that farmers grow these catch crop or contingent crop. Okay. So basically these are the quick plant crop which can or which can help in covering the losses that farmer has incurred in the main crop. ठीक है, तो that will be called as catch crop. Catch crop means ये कोई plant crop नहीं होती है. अगर फॉर से राइस फार्मर ने लगाया था और उसमें कोई डिजीज आ गई, ठीक है, उसके वजह से उसकी यील्ड कम हो गई, तो फार्मर क्या कर सकता है, राइस के बाद क्विक, जब तक वीट सोइंग होती है, तो उसके बाद एक शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन क्रॉप लगा सकता है, सो दैट from that crop it can overcome the losses incurred in the rice crop. Clear? Next we have is contour crop. So students, what are contour crop? Basically these crops are grown along the contour lines. What are the contour lines? These are the line joining same elevation. So sometime we have slopy land, right? So if we join these two point of these, so this is called contour line. So these 2 points are joining the same elevation. So when we grow crop along these contour line, so such crops are called as contour crops. ठीक है, चलो. Now next we have is complementary crop. Complementary crops क्या होती हैं? Where both main and intercrops are benefit each other. So there can be some complementary crop, means we can grow two crop and these two crop can have some kind of benefit from each other. Okay, and both yield will increase. So these are called complementary crops. Example is your jowar and lobia. Then we have competitive crop. So apart from complementary crop where the both crops are benefiting each other, there can be competition also. So though two crop can be competing also, like if we sow two type of cereals, like if you will sow maize and rice together, they both are cereals and they both are heavily feeding on soil for nutrient, so they will have competition between them for that nutrient, right? So these crop will be called as competitive crops, right? Then we have fouling crop. What are fouling crops? So students, sometimes the cultivation practice of few crops can increase the weed infestation in the field. Okay, so such crop will be called as fouling crop, where the cultural practices of these crop can increase the weed infestation in the field. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Then we have mulch crop. Mulch crop are basically, mulching is what? Mulching is anything which is used to cover the surface, okay, which is used to cover the field. So when we grow some crop which have the high foliage, which have good foliage volume, so that this foliage volume can cover the soil surface to conserve the soil moisture, then that crop will be called as mulch crop. Mulch crop is basically, the purpose of mulch crop is that this crop foliage cover the soil surface, and whatever soil moisture we have in the soil, that is there, that remains there, and there is less losses through evaporation. ठीक है, so these crops are called mulch crops. Then we have stimulate crops. Stimulate crops are basically, students, that stimulate human body, that affect nervous system of human body. So like tobacco, opium, these are called stimulate crop. Then we have supplementary crops. Okay, so students, some crops are supplementary crops, means they are neither complementary, neither they are competitive to each other. Okay, we have read three groups: complementary, competitive and supplementary. ठीक है, complementary means एक दूसरे की benefit करेंगे, competitive they will harm each other, and supplementary there will be no effect, there will be no effect, neither they will benefit each other nor they will fight for any kind of resources. So these crops can be grown together. Okay, so such crops can be grown together. Now next we have is truck crop. So truck crop क्या होती है basically, students, there are few crops, okay, which need to be uh, transported from the field to distant market, right? So we need some kind of transportation for them, like your freshly harvested vegetable, they need to be quickly brought down to the market, so in crops को बोलते हैं truck crops. So all your vegetables are and fruits are part of truck crops, are example of truck crops, I would say. ठीक है, then we have trap crops. What are trap crops? So sometimes we grow few crops to trap some kind of disease and to trap some kind of insects. ठीक है, they are called trap crops. See, Rafus, there is no use of supplementary crops, but rather if any farmer wanted to go for intercropping, like if any farmer is interested in growing more than one crop in same area, so he can opt for supplementary crops where there is no competition between two crops, right? So if like there was example given of maize and cucurbits, and I intend to grow maize and cucurbit on the same field. I have only one land and I have to grow maize also, cucurbits also, so I can grow it. That is the benefit, that I can grow it because they will not compete with each other, rather they will not benefit each other, but there will be no competition also, so I can grow them easily, right? So that is the use of supplementary crops. ठीक है, So students, trap crop, coming back to trap crop. So sometimes we need to protect our main crop from some kind of disease and insect. For that, what we'll do, we will grow trap crop around that field, and that disease or insect will infect the trap crop, and our main crop will remain what? Safe. Uh, yes, Rafus, means for economic purpose also, for subsistence purpose also, that can be grown, right? Chalo. Now next we have is smoother crops. Now smoother crops are what? Basically, smoother crops are specialized crop. These are the crops which cover the soil surface quickly, and they help in suppression of weed growth. Means weeds are unwanted plant. We do not want them to cover our field, right? So we grow some crop which can quickly, the foliage of these crop can again quickly cover the surface, so that there is no enough space for the weed to grow. So that will suppress the weed growth, and these crop will be called as smoother crops. ठीक है? चलो. Next, we have is paired row crops. What are paired row crops? Basically, it is a practice where we are omitting one row. Like we have these rows of crops. So what we'll do, we will omit third row. We'll remove third row and just we will get paired row crops. So this is just a method of sowing crop, right? Next, we have is a pera and utera, again a method of sowing crop where what we do before harvesting of the previous crop, we grow the coming crop. Like for say before harvesting of rice, like it's still 10-15 days for me to harvest my rice. So I'll do, I will sow lithyrus, which is a pulse crop 10 at that time, so that the moisture that is present in the field can be utilized by seed and the seed can germinate. Okay, after 10-15 days I will harvest the rice, and then lithyrus will grow on the field. So this is called pera and utera crop, and it is also known as relay crop. Okay, it is also known as relay crop, right? So um, before harvesting of the crop, I will sow the other crop, right? That is the thing here. Then we have nurse crop. So students, there are few crops which are there for the nourishment of other crops. Like there can be some crop grown for providing shade to other crop. Okay, can be there for providing what protecting from frost. Okay, providing protection from the high wind velocity. So these crops, when grown for such purposes, when crops are grown for such purposes to nurse the other crop, these crop will be called as nurse crop. Okay, to protect other crop, these crop will be called as nurse crop. No, Kartikeya, nurse crop and augment crops are not same. Purpose of nurse crop is to protect, means protect the crop from any other kind of harm. But augment crop will increase the yield. These nurse crop will not increase the yield. Like for say, I have a rice field here. Okay? But if there will be high wind velocity, this rice can fall off. So what I can do, I can grow some tall crop here. Like for say, I can grow some trees around my field. Now these trees will act as a nurse crop because they will protect my rice for from high wind velocity. Okay? They are not increasing the yield of rice. Clear? नो जुनैद, देखो जब रिले क्रॉप में क्या होता है कि जब क्रॉप हार्वेस्टिंग स्टेज पे आ जाती है, एक बार हार्वेस्टिंग स्टेज पे आ गई मींस नाउ दिस क्रॉप हैज अटेन फुल मेच्योरिटी। अब उसको कोई न्यूट्रिएंट की जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है। बट आप देखोगे राइस में ऑलरेडी वी आर यूजिंग अ लॉट ऑफ वाटर, ठीक है। तो जो सॉइल होती है उसमें इनफ मॉइस्चर होता है, राइट। एंड एट द टाइम ऑफ जर्मिनेशन इतना न्यूट्रिएंट नहीं चाहिए होता है क्रॉप को, सीड को टू ग्रो। सीड को जो इंपॉर्टेंट चीज चाहिए होती है वो होती है मॉइस्चर, ठीक है। सो जब राइस फुल मेच्योरिटी पे है, एट दैट टाइम इट विल नॉट एब्जॉर्ब मच न्यूट्रिएंट फ्रॉम द सॉइल, ठीक है। सो व्हाट विल डू, वी विल मेक यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट मॉइस्चर विच इज ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट इन द फील्ड, ठीक है। तो 10-15 days इज अ वेरी एट द टाइम द लेथाइरस सीड जो है उसको हम सो कर सकते हैं। लेथाइरस सीड विल जर्मिनेट, इट विल ग्रो टू अ लिटिल एक्सटेंट। उसके बाद जब हम राइस को रिमूव कर सकते हैं, अगर वी सी देर इज अ स्टिल डेफिशिएंसी ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट, वी कैन सप्लाई न्यूट्रिएंट देन। ओके। 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 Pera Utera versus contingent crop. Okay. Uh, Sorry. Okay. So yes. Uh, Contingent and catch crop. Okay. So Rufus, yes. So see, contingent and catch crop क्या है? देखो, let me give you the example. uh, I have sown rice. ठीक है, मैंने rice sow किया एक field में, and in that season what happened, there is a heavy infestation of rice stem borer for say, which is an insect that feed on rice. ठीक है, तो अब there will be heavy infestation of this insect, and I am not able to manage it. So what will happen, my yield will decrease. So my yield has gone down for the rice, and I have harvested the rice, and whatever whatever yield I have got, right? But it is not to that much extent which I was expecting. So what I'll do, before harvesting wheat, I have a little bit time period in between with me. So after harvesting, I am sowing the other crop. ठीक है, in contingent crop, after harvesting, I am sowing the other crop. But in relay and para utera crop, what I'm doing, before harvesting, I am sowing the other crop. Okay, is it clear now? Is it clear now? In contingent crop, my purpose is to overcome the loss that I have incurred in rice. Okay. But in Pera and Utera, my purpose is to utilize the moisture that is already present in the soil. That is the difference here. Okay. So next is lay crop, and lay crop are what? Basically, these are the crops which are the mixture of grasses and legumes, and lay crops are basically grown for the livestock purpose, for feeding the livestock. ठीक है. Then we have border and guard crop. As the name itself, it is suggesting border and guard crop means some crops which we are growing to at the at the border of the field, so that it can guard our main crop. So these are border and guard crop. Now these can be grown for uh, you know, uh, avoiding the animals, such as like your safflower can be grown as they are thorny crops, so the animal will not trespass your field, right? So to avoid the trespassing of animal, these border and guard crop can be grown. Okay, and lay crops are what? They are basically again mixture of grasses and legumes that are grown on a very vast area to feed the livestock. Also, these lay crops include legumes. So what will happen? These legume will help in restoring the fertility of land. So I hope that is clear. Okay, now we have to cover weeds also, and I can see we do not have much time. So we'll take this per topic in tomorrow's session. So, or what should we do? Okay, so I'll try to cover wheat part also quickly in 10-15 minutes, because it's not that much important. Whatever will be important, I'll tell you in between. Okay. So weeds are what? These are the unwanted and harmful plant that we do not need in our field, right? So we need to remove all these weed. We need to get rid of these weed, because these weed can also hamper our yield. This weed can also affect the yield that we are getting, right? So again, weeds are divided into different groups. So we know the meaning of annual, biennial, and perennial now. So in weeds also we have annual weed, biennial weed, perennial weed. Okay. Now coming to the question that do we need to remember the example of these weeds? So no students, example is not required. Just understand what are these weeds. Okay. Only one question was asked in 2024. That is why this have been included in your course. So right now you just understand what is the classification. Okay. Then we have, based on ecological affinities, we have wetland weeds, garden land weeds, and dryland weeds. Again, what are wetlands? Weed which are found in the aquatic and semi-aquatic regions. ठीक है? Garden weeds which are found in garden, right? In our day-to-day garden, in our gardens, small areas, the weeds that are found are called garden land weeds. Then we have dryland weeds. Again, the weeds which can survive in dry condition. ठीक है? They are called dryland weeds. Then we have based on place of occurrence. Very easy. If any weed is seen in cropland, that is known as weeds of cropland. If any weed is seen in pasture land, that is a weed of pasture land. Wasteland, weed of wasteland, and again same for goes for playground and roadside weed. ठीक है. Then we have based on origin, we have indigenous and exotic weed. Indigenous means the weeds that are originally found in our country, and exotic means weed that is that has came to our country from any other country. Like what can happen, sometimes we are importing seeds. Okay, along with that seed there can be a mixture of these weed seed, and these weed seed get introduced in our country, and then we it become very difficult to control them. There are so many example of exotic wheat, like your parthenium, which is, yes, congress grass, which is parthenium, that is the exotic wheat. Okay. Now students, like we have crops monocot and dicot, same we have weeds monocot and dicot. Okay, I hope now it is clear what is the meaning of monocot. So based on the soil pH, we have acidophile, basophiles, and neutrophiles. What is acidophile, basophile, neurophiles? Based on the likability of soil pH. If any weed grow on any, grow on acidic soil pH condition, that is acidophile. If wheat grow in basic soil condition, that is basophile. And if it grow in the neutral soil condition, that is neutrophile. Okay. Now we have based on morphology, grasses, sages, and broadleaf weeds. So grasses are basically, students, simple weed that look like a grass. Okay, that is a grass. And broadleaf weeds are basically, like you'll see, unlike other plant, they will have broadleaf. Okay, they are broadleaf weeds. But sages are different category of weed, where uh, see, Sahil, yes, crop can also be classified based on the soil pH, because again, each crop have a different requirement of pH. Okay, but it is not that much major thing to consider. That's why it's not there, right? Chalo. Sedges is another type of morphology that is seen in weeds. So students, here you will see the stem is converted into a leaf-like structure, and you will see this type of, you will not see any stem part here. Rather, stem has been converted into any leaf-like structure, which is very hard and pokey. Okay? So that is called sedges. So it's nothing important. Now, next we have is important classification from where the question was asked to you. So poisonous weed, basically, students, which are poisonous to livestock. Okay, they can cause death. So it's very easy. Parasitic weeds are basically which are parasite on any other plant, like your cuscuta. Cuscuta is a parasitic weed. Basically, cuscuta is a plant which feed on another plant. Okay, it draw nutrient from other plant and it survive accordingly. So that is a parasite. Floating means leaves, weed which float on water. Okay. So its leaf part and root part will float on water. That is floating weed. Immersed weed are basically plants are rooted in bottom mud, but aerial part with aerial part and leaves are above the ground surface. So basically, in immersed weed, the root will be rooted in the bottom part of the soil, and there will be a little bit part of plant which will be coming out of the soil, or the entire plant is immersed in the water. Basically, immersed से ये समझो कि पूरा plant along with the leaf and root is is below the water surface. And there is a submerged. ठीक है, submerged is basically these weeds are mostly vascular plant that produce all or most of their vegetative growth below the water. ठीक है. So अब जो submerged है, ठीक है, there is floating, immersed, and submerged. Floating is the roots and leaf part is floating in water. In immersed, it will be either like submerged completely below the water, or some part is coming out of the water. In case of submerged, there will be no part coming out of water. Okay, entire weed will be inside the seed, inside the water. Okay, so that is the submerged. Then we have marginal weed. Marginal weed are basically plants which are immersed weed that can be found in the shoreline. ठीक है, so sometimes like this is a pond. ठीक है, inside this pond you will see floating weed which is floating here, roots and shoot are floating. ठीक है, then we have some immersed weed जहाँ पे हमें सिर्फ लीव्स दिखाई दे रही हैं. सबमर्ज में कुछ नहीं दिखाई देगा क्योंकि वो प्लांट के अंदर होगा, सॉरी वाटर के अंदर होगा. एंड देयर विल बी सम वीड विच विल बी सीन इन द शोर लाइन, मीन्स आपको मार्जिन एरिया पे ऑफ ले, जो ये मार्जिन है लेक की, वहां पे आपको कुछ डिफरेंट टाइप की वीड दिखेंगी. दे आर कॉल्ड मार्जिनल वीड्स. ठीक है, आई होप इट इज क्लियर. देन स्टूडेंट्स, दीज वीड्स आर प्रोपोगेटेड बाय डिफरेंट वेज. दे कैन देयर कैन बी रिप्रोडक्शन हो, जैसे प्लांट में होता है रिप्रोडक्शन, वैसे वीड्स का भी होता है. तो वीड्स में अगेन रिप्रोडक्शन कैन बी बाय सीड्स. दे प्रोड्यूस सीड, दीज सीड disseminate and and they give rise to new weed plant. Then there can be vegetative reproduction, means any part of weed plant can be used to propagate new plant, or sometimes any plant, part of a plant that get broken down from the main plant, that the separated plant part will also give rise to new weed plant. So both type of reproduction, that is reproduction by seed or vegetative reproduction, is seen in the weed. Then there is dissemination or dispersal. So students, these seeds, wheat seed disseminate or disperse by various means. ठीक है, wind can also help as an agent to distribute the weed seeds. Then water, animals. Then there is a dispersal by mimicry. What is this dispersal by mimicry? So there is a weed named Phalaris minor, ठीक है, and it look alike to wheat seed, वीट प्लांट, सॉरी, ठीक है। तो फेलरिस माइनर एंड वीट का जो प्लांट है, दे लुक क्वाइट सिमिलर, सो इट इज नॉट easy to distinguish between these two. So sometimes they mimic the main plant and then they get mixed with the main crop, ठीक है, and that is how they are, then they are how that is how they are dispersed to other part. देन देयर इज कॉन्टिनेंटल मूवमेंट ऑफ वीड अगेन, ठीक है, एक कॉन्टिनेंट से दूसरे कॉन्टिनेंट में थ्रू इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट वीड का मूवमेंट हो जाता है। क्रॉप मिमिक्री होती है, ठीक है, okay, sorry, dispersal by mimicry, and then there is a crop mimicry. Then dispersal by mens are also a source of dispersal of weed seed. कैसे? We are walking in a ground, in a garden, अगर आप walk करते हो तो आपके जो ट्राउजर्स है वहां पे भी कुछ वीट सीड्स स्टक हो जाते हैं, एंड वेन एवर यू गो यू प्लग द वीट सीड एंड यू जस्ट थ्रो इट, तो वहां पे भी वो डिस्पर्स हो जाते हैं, ठीक है, तो दे विल ग्रो देयर। सो समटाइम दे गेट मिक्स विद द क्रॉप सीड, एनिमल फीड, हे एंड स्ट्रॉ ऑल्सो, ठीक है, दैट इज ऑल्सो वन वे टू डिसेमिनेट दिस वीट सीड, ठीक है। चलो, नेक्स्ट इज crop weed okay, so this thing, students, dispersal by mimicry, dispersal by machinery and crop mimicry dispersal. So dispersal by machinery कैसे होता है? Basically, when one machine travel from one field to another field, this machine will carry the weed seed in the tires or from one field to another field, ठीक है। Then mimicry, I have already told you, the crop mimic the main plant, and that is how they are dispersed. Then there is a competition also between crop and weeds, so there can be competition for nutrients, ठीक है, both need nutrients, both are plants basically, so they need same kind of thing, same kind of nutrients, same kind of moisture, ठीक है, light, space, and there is allelopathy also. What is allelopathy? Is some weed root secrete some kind of chemical, and these chemicals hamper the yield of our main crop. So allelopathy effect is also there, ठीक है। Now students, there is seed dormancy also in weeds. Dormancy क्या है? Dormancy basically the seed that, ओके, डोरमेंसी क्या है कि जो आपकी सीड है, इट रिक्वायर्ड सम अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम इन ऑर्डर टू गेट फुल्ली मेच्योर, एंड उसके बाद ही इट इज एबल टू कन्वर्ट इनटू न्यू प्लांट, ठीक है। सो देर आर थ्री टाइप्स ऑफ डोरमेंसी. फर्स्ट वी हैव इनफोर्स, innate and induced dormancy. So what is enforced dormancy? Basically, it is due to deep placement. Like means when the seed is enforced to be dormant. Means sometimes due to deep plowing, weed seed can be placed deep inside the soil, and due to that deep placement, it is not getting optimum environment to grow. And now that seed will remain dormant there. Now, if there is a time when again there is a plowing and that seed comes out to the surface, now it will get the optimum climate or temperature to grow, and it will grow to a weed plant, ठीक है। So that is a enforced dormancy. Now innate dormancy is something which is genetically inherited. Okay, now if any weed seed a particular amount of time, like if any weed seed like 1 year, one dormant year, and after that completing that dormant year, it will be able to grow into new plant. So that is a innate dormancy, means genetically it is the genetical trait of that plant to remain dormant for 1 year, ठीक है। Then we have induced dormancy. So sometimes dormancy can be induced. So sometimes what can happen, there can be some physiological changes, there can be changes in carbon dioxide, or there can be changes in oxygen concentration around the weed seed, and that can induce dormancy inside the seed. Okay, so sometimes when environment change, so like atmospheric gases change, concentration of these gases changes, so that will induce that seed to be dormant, so that will be induced dormancy. So these are the three types of dormancy that is seen in weeds. And then we have a weed control method. So there are some biological control where we are using some animals, some insects or some microorganism to control the weeds, that is biocontrol. Then bioherbicides are basically chemicals that is used to kill herbs, basically the plants, right? So weed, there are some chemicals that can be used to kill these weeds. So they are bioherbicide. And then we have integrated weed management. So integrated weed management is basically more sustainable way to manage these weed, because here what we do, we integrate all kind of practices to avoid weed. Okay, because again, if we use more chemical, that will hamper nature, that will hamper environment, and we don't want that, right? So integrated weed management approach is adopted, basically where culturally also we are ensuring that we are using clean machinery and there is no dispersal of weed, right? We are ensuring clean seed, that there is no contamination of weed in that seed lot, and our field remain weed free. So all these steps need to be taken step by step to control or manage the weed. Okay, and there should be less need of chemicals. So that is the integrated weed management. Clear? So I hope it is clear to you. It was a very short topic, nothing much important. I have told you what is the important part, and you have to focus there only. And now, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Anything you want to ask? Okay. Any confusion, any query, anything not cleared, uh, you can ask me. And just a request once again, please, please, please do read your summary sheet now. Okay, Smruti, green manure crops क्या हैं? So green manure crops are those crops जिनको हम grow करते हैं field में, and after some time, like after 20-25 days or 30 days, when these crops have attained full volume, तो हम उनको कट करके सॉइल में ही मिक्स करते हैं। क्यों करते हैं? क्योंकि इन क्रॉप्स में नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट ज़्यादा होता है। तो जब हम इनको सॉइल में मिक्स करते हैं एंड दीज क्रॉप गेट डीकम्पोज्ड, तो डीकम्पोजिशन प्रोसेस से जो क्रॉप्स हैं वो सॉइल में नाइट्रोजन ऐड करती है। तो दैट इज द ग्रीन मैन्योर क्रॉप। ओके। नो, agronomy is not complete, Arpit. Tomorrow also we have one lecture. Okay. Oh, Rufus, see, I cannot, it's not in my hand to upload these PDFs, but I can request the team to get to get it uploaded as soon as possible. Anything else? PSC classes will cover the important current affair, but you need to go through the document also. Okay. Welcome, Rufus. Junaid, see, I would request you to leave the crop variety, because usually no questions has been asked from varieties. So you can leave that part. Okay. लोन वुल्फ समरी शीट विल बी प्रोवाइडेड इन द कोर्स। ठीक है, जहाँ पे आपको क्लास दिखी है ना, वहीं पे नीचे समरी शीट का सेक्शन होगा, यू कैन गेट समरी शीट देयर। स्मृति, वीट टॉपिक में ज्यादा कुछ नहीं आएगा, जस्ट आपको पता होनी चाहिए कि सबमर्ज्ड वीट क्या है, इमर्ज्ड वीट क्या है, फ्लोटिंग वीट क्या है, पॉइजनस वीट क्या है, राइट? और व्हाट आर मतलब आपको बस ये पता होना चाहिए कि डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ वीट्स, क्लासिफिकेशन जो हमने डिस्कस किया, वो दैट इज इनफ। एनीथिंग एल्स? ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स यू वांट टू आस्क एनीवन? ठीक है। आई होप यू गाइज आर एंजॉइंग दिस लेक्चर। आई नो, देखो, आई वुड से 2 hours इज ऑल्सो लेस टू कवर दिस मच अमाउंट ऑफ कंटेंट in detail, but I'm trying my best to deliver and trying to make you understand here, because see, you don't need to go in that detail, just understand things here and just read the summary sheet. Okay, that will be more than sufficient, but you have to read summary sheet daily. That's the one request from you. Okay, Karthik, is asking, ma'am, can you please ask management to add this week topic in summary sheet? See, Kartike, already I think it is in summary sheet. I'll get it checked. If it is not there, I'll add it. Okay, for sure. Because to my best, it is there in the summary sheet. I'll just check it after the class. You're welcome, Junaid. A finance current affair class is for RBI or NABARD. PSC finance current affair is basically for RBI. ठीक है? That is for RBI, but for NABARD के लिए what you can do, the finance and banking news that is there in your PDF which is provided to you, you can read those news. ठीक है? That will be helpful. Okay. PYQs of phase 1 and phase 2 along with the PPT. See, Lone Wolf, I think SALT PYQs are also provided to you in your course. See, there is a chapter wise SALT PYQs and has PYQ of both phase 1 and phase 2 from 2017 till 2024. So it is there in the course. You have to just have a look. Okay, just go through the course once, you will get it. Uh, See, Smriti, it will just come like what is a alley crop or what is a green manure crop or what is arable crop. Uh, like this question can come in your examination. अभी तक क्वेश्चन आया नहीं है बट स्टिल यू शुड हैव द आइडिया कि डिफरेंट टाइप्स की क्रॉप क्या है जस्ट द डेफिनेशन ऑफ दैट दीज डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ क्रॉप्स ओके इट्स नॉट देयर ओके ओके I'll get it uploaded then Kartike okay फ्रॉम कोर्स यस फ्रॉम कोर्स PDF PS कोर्स की में जो PDF मिलती है आपको वहां से आप फाइनेंस और बैंकिंग करंट अफेयर थोड़ा सा कवर कर लो दैट विल बी सफिशिएंट साहिल राइट नाउ देर विल बी नो क्लासेस लाइव क्लासेस फॉर करंट अफेयर बिकॉज अभी आप करंट अफेयर पढ़ के कोई फायदा नहीं है क्योंकि लेटर ऑन आपको क्लासेस जो करंट अफेयर की हैं वो एग्जामिनेशन नोटिफिकेशन जब आएगा उसके बाद मिलेगी क्योंकि आपका जो करंट अफेयर है वो इम्पॉर्टेंट है 6 महीने पहले एग्जाम से पहले का ठीक है राइट नाउ देर इज नो यूज ऑफ रीडिंग एनी करंट अफेयर तो लेटर ऑन यू कैन स्टार्ट राइट नाउ यू कैन स्टार्ट रीडिंग द PDF दैट इज बीइंग प्रोवाइडेड टू यू और उसमें से भी आप जो स्कीम्स है उसको फोकस करो ओके यू वेलकम PS एनीथिंग एल्स एनीवन वांट टू आस्क Okay, that's all for this class. I hope you have enjoyed. Do provide your feedbacks if there are any, and we'll meet in the next class. Okay, so that's all. I hope everything is clear. Okay, so there are few queries on YouTube also. I have to cater them. Can anyone let me know, please? ABCC, these are only the 3 lecture will be provided to you as free on YouTube. Rest it will be in the course. Okay, detailed coverage will be in the course. Sikha is asking, please suggest study material for ARD. Study material, I would say you can refer to the book like Fundamental of Agriculture by Arun Katyan. Okay, that will be a good book to refer to. Okay. Dheeraj, volatile substances means see, like अगर आप perfume use करते हो, like what is a perfume? It is a volatile substance through which you smell good, right? You can feel something. Volatile is means something which is which can what how to explain this volatile means which can evaporate I would say into atmosphere ठीक है when it evaporate then you can smell it okay odoriferous means you can smell it volatile means something which can be evaporated okay anything else anyone want to ask here okay you're welcome PS Rufus Lone Wolf and Pratmesh is asking after notification we have joined um yes Pratmesh after after notification also there will be classes. No, PS, for ARD schemes will not be sufficient. You will have to go through reports as well because from reports also there were questions. ठीक है, so NABARD annual report, basic animal husbandry report, these are also important. Okay, anything else? Okay, I hope everything is clear and that's all for this class. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much. See, if you do lecture now, then I don't think you need to do again after the notification. Just you need to revise everything. Okay. If you cover your lectures now, that will be more than sufficient. Then after you have to just revise everything and practice it. Okay. You're welcome, Prathamesh. Okay. That's all. Now I'll end the session.